Welcome back. I'm Dr. Cheek and I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. And today is another installment of We Need to Talk. And what we need to talk about today are those individuals who like animals more than people. And are you one of those individuals who typically or generally will say, I like animals more than I like people, or I trust animals? If you are, or even if you're not, this is a good conversation to have. And it's a good conversation to have to understand the effect that having an animal can have on those mental health conditions. Now, as I'm talking through this, I want you to keep 3 questions in mind for those individuals, not those who just like pets, but for those individuals who tend to prefer animals over people. Not that that's a bad or a good thing. Has no judgment either way. But for those who tend to prefer animals over people, think about these 3 questions as I talk through this today. That very first question is, do you prefer animals over people because you no longer trust your judgment of people? You no longer trust if you have the ability to effectively judge if someone is trustworthy or not. The second question is, do you tend to engage in binary thinking? So it's either all or nothing, it's either good or bad, it's either or, it's never an and, it's never also, it's either, it's a or, it's either going to be black, it's either going to be white, there is no in between. Do you tend to engage in that more rigid or restricted way of thinking about interactions with individuals? And lastly, do you sometimes feel like you're looking for unconditional loyalty or loyalty from individuals that will rarely or more than likely not be achieved when you're engaging with healthy individuals or people who understand what it requires to be in a healthy relationship dynamic? It rarely requires or it rarely consists of unconditional loyalty. And is that what you're looking for in engagement with individuals? Are you looking for that unconditional loyalty? Are you looking for that person that's going to be there regardless of how you treat them, how you engage with them, how you respond to them? Is that what you're looking for? And think about these questions as I talk through the relationship dynamic between pets and having certain animals and mental health conditions. Now, do you ever wonder why sometimes your pet can seemingly recognize the changes in your emotions more than, let's say, an actual human in your environment? That might be for multiple reasons, and that is because animals, more specifically cats, dogs, or horses, because most of the research thus far has been done on those specific animals, they tend to have not only an ability to recognize body languages or changes in body language, but they also have the ability to smell. Because their sense of smell is superior to most humans, they have the ability to smell those chemical changes in our body that comes as a response to stress or other emotions, whether it be anxiety, whether it be sadness, whether it be changes in that stress hormone or your cortisol or your endorphins or any type of chemical change in your body. Your dog and your cat can smell that change. And like the other physiological responses you may have, like sweating, they can smell that change in your body chemistry. And they also can recognize body language, much like infants, toddlers, and children who do not have the developed frontal lobe yet or the language capacity to be able to recognize or verbalize or understand how the human experience is happening. Babies and dogs rely heavily on their interpretations of their caregivers' body language, how they engage with them, how they act around them. They get a lot of information and a lot of cues from how the caretaker or the human that is caring for them is responding to the environment. And dogs and pets and animals are the same way. They can read body language. And it always is interesting for me when I have clients who would say, not about pets, but about their kids. They'll say, the kids knew what was going on and I never said a word. And my response in those times are typically, that's because kids can read human behavior a lot more readily and a lot more directly than most adults. Because once we get to a point where we have the language to understand, we have the frontal lobe capacity to try to rationalize or organize the information, we can sometimes make excuses for certain behaviors or try to rationalize certain behaviors. Whereas children, they simply see the behaviors for what it is and they start to read behaviors or be able to interpret behavioral responses or body language a lot different than adults. Pets are the same way. They can notice changes in how your body is responding to in your environment, how your voice tone may change, and other aspects of how you're engaging with not only them, but those around you to detect those changes in your emotions. And that's why they seemingly understand what you are experiencing emotionally. So they may not know the actual label for what you're feeling. So they may not be able to say, oh, my pet parent is feeling anxious, or they're feeling sad, or they're feeling down. No, they notice that there's a chemical response that's changed. Their body chemistry is giving off a distress signal, or they are behaving in a way that looks like they're experiencing some sort of distress or discomfort or fear, because animals can sense and actually experience fear themselves. So they are keenly aware of what that may look like in humans. And what effects generally does having a pet or having an animal have on humans with a mental health condition? Anyone who has a pet know, even if you don't have a mental health condition, simply having an animal that cares for you and is unconditionally loving and caring and loyal to you, it can give you a sense of purpose. It can give you a sense of responsibility. They increase like your connection. They can show a level of compassion that people aren't able to or haven't experienced from other humans. Pets are generally a ball of emotions. They allow humans to have a bond that they are not always able or readily able to create with other human beings. So pets or having an animal, and if you have a mental health condition, can serve multiple purposes: companionship, affection, connection, not feeling socially isolated, not feeling alone, not feeling disconnected from your environment or from your community around you. So does that mean you should get a pet? That's an individual question. I tend to look at having pets as, one, you can have it as something that cares for you, that shows you unconditional loyalty, that shows you love, that shows you affection. However, it has to be a two-way street with pets, because like any other animal, if it comes with abuse, if it comes with neglect, if it comes with isolation, if it comes with maltreatment through conditioning over time, and it may take a long time with a pet, but through conditioning over time, that unconditional loyalty, that companionship, that affection may cease to occur. And now not only are you no longer getting the benefits of having a pet, but now the pet itself has been conditioned or has learned to be distrusting of humans because of how they've been treated by this one pet parent or by multiple pet parents. Now, another thing I want to talk about is the difference between emotional support animal and a service animal when it comes to mental health conditions. Now, there's been a lot of talk about emotional support animals and whether they're beneficial, whether they're not. Unfortunately, there are not a lot of studies that show the benefits of having an emotional support animal. And an emotional support animal is not a trained pet. It can be any animal. There are no restrictions around what type of animal can be an emotional support animal. The only thing that they are responsible for is being there. What makes an emotional support animal an emotional support animal is that they are present with the person who is actually needing that animal. They are not trained to do any specific tasks. They are not trained to show emotional support. They're not trained to handle distress. They are just simply there. And although there are limited studies, I believe I was able to find one study that supports the benefit of having an emotional support animal. Me, personally, being a practitioner, I've seen firsthand the benefits of individuals having a pet, whether you want to call it an emotional support animal or simply you know that your pet is very in tune to your emotional experience. And the only reason to label a pet as an emotional support animal is for housing purposes, because as a mental health provider or other healthcare providers, through the Fair Housing Act or the Airspace Act, I can't think of the name of it right now, individuals are able to have their emotional support animals in those spaces. They're not restricted. They may be able to get a discount on how much they have to pay in order to have the animal in the home. All of these are benefits for being able to categorize someone's pet or someone's animal as an emotional support animal, because as a mental health professional or other healthcare professionals, we can write a letter attesting to the mental health or mental wellness benefits of having that emotional support animal. How does this differ from a service animal? Well, a service animal is typically a specific type of animal. And right now the ADA recognizes only dogs and horses or miniature horses. Service animals actually serve a function. They actually are trained to do specific tasks for their humans. They are companions, but that's not their sole purpose. Their sole purpose is actually a specific task. So they may be trained to get their humans their medications, to bring their medications when it's time for them to take their medications. They may be trained to provide pressure when someone is having a panic attack or experiencing high levels of anxiety. They may be trained to provide grounding for individuals who are maybe experiencing flashbacks or intrusive memories as it relates to past negative experiences. service animals have a function. Not all animals are trainable to be service animals, and service animals are typically not something that like a general mental health provider can say is necessary or can label your dog as or your animal as. That requires a specific set of training, going through another process in order to get your service animal certified to be or to perform the task as a service animal. And that's different in different states. So I highly suggest, if you feel like you're in need of a service animal, reach out to your local adoption centers, veterinarians. All of them may have resources. Even your mental health providers, local mental health providers, may have resources or know of actual service animal training facilities located in your area, if that is something you're looking for. And emotional support animals and service animals differ in those ways, but they all have a benefit. They all can serve a purpose as it relates to having to deal with different mental health conditions. Now, why we needed to talk about this today is because sometimes I feel that when we get to a space where we prefer animals over humans, it's less because of us needing that companionship sometimes, and it may be more related to us no longer trusting our judgment of human beings, or no longer trusting human beings, and no longer wanting to put that time and effort into figuring out how to rebuild that trust, to be able to know who is trustworthy or who can I trust with myself wholly, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Who are those individuals? Most of us know that with an animal, you can almost sense when there is a level of danger with your animal. It's not a matter of them trying to hide their emotional experience. It's not a matter of them trying to manipulate you in any way. Most animals, most if not all animals, do not play mind games. And for some of us, it's easier for us to understand that either my animal is going to like me or they're not. Either my animal is going to be loyal to me or they're going to run away as soon as I open the door. Either my animal is going to be there to support me when I'm having, because it's my service animal, so when I'm having this emotional distress, they're going to be there to care for me. They're going to do their performed task, or they're not. Either I'm going to have this emotional support animal that is my companion, that is here when I need them, is able to nudge me with their nose or headbutt me a little bit when I'm feeling down or feeling some level of sadness, or they're not. It's not an unknown set of circumstances. You are really aware of whether your pet is going to be there or they're not. And we don't always know that with humans. And we don't always know if with humans there is some ulterior motive. And with pets, there's rarely an ulterior motive outside of a treat or a snack or food. It's not them trying to hurt or get over on us in any way. But we don't have that same level of trust in humans because humans can and will and do manipulate others. So are you the person who prefers animals because you have learned to mistrust your engagement with humans? Or do you just really like animals? So we need to talk because yes, animals are very keenly aware of our emotional experiences and they can be there to support us. And we need to be willing to provide that same level of support and caring for those pets so they can continue to do those things for us. Because just like any other animal, if you're not continuing to be there to care for and support that animal, that caring, that unconditional loyalty, that attention, that affection may start to diminish. It may take a longer time with pets than it will with humans, but it's not impossible. So care for your pets the same way you want them to care for you. If you feel like you prefer animals over people, start to think about, what is it about my interactions with humans that I no longer trust? And is it something that I need to work on? Not that I can trust everyone, but so that I can learn to trust my own judgment of the individuals I have in my life. And do I need to build a capacity to be able to make those assessments? Because sometimes we simply get tired of trying to figure out who we can trust and who we can't. So understand it about yourself, but also know you can have pets and you can have people. Humans and pets can coexist in our lives. They do every day. But if you're not able to have the human interactions, at least have a pet. At least have something in your life that gives your life meaning, that gives your life purpose, that gives you a sense of connection with something or someone, that makes you feel like you're not so isolated in this current environment or so alone in this current world that we're existing in. As always, I hope you take something from this video that was informative, that was helpful, that was information that you could use. This was another installment of We Need to Talk. Please feel free to jot down any thoughts, questions, or comments you have below. I thank you for taking the time to listen, and I'll be seeing you again very soon. Thank you.